Why the Golden State Warriors can win an NBA championship in 2024. As you all know, the Golden State Warriors have made some big moves this offseason, but they are now having their eyes set on winning another NBA championship. So in today's video, we're going to be going through 5 reasons why the Golden State Warriors can win an NBA championship in the 2024 season. So make sure to like this video, and guys, 92% of you are still not subscribed to the channel, so it'd mean the world if you could subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. The first is that Steph Curry is going to have himself an MVP season. Now I really do believe this, but Stephen Curry has been playing at the highest level of basketball we have ever seen. Last season, he averaged 29.4 points, 6.3 assists, and also 6.1 rebounds. Now, to put this season or last season into perspective, he was actually rebounding the most he has ever rebounded his whole career. His assist numbers were back to where he was in 2016 and 2017, which was roughly the time that people consider that the peak Steph Curry. And the last time he averaged almost 30 points was also during 2020-2021, which was only 2 seasons ago. So he's definitely getting better as an aging like fine wine, and I think this is a huge facet to what Steph Curry has in store for this next season. He's shooting at the highest level he has ever shot. He's also much stronger, especially on the defensive side of things, and I think we are going to see a different Stephen Curry in this next season. When it comes to Steph and what he brings to this team, I think scoring is definitely one thing that he's definitely going to have to continue to get better at, due to the fact that he is the number 1 scoring option. A lot of the times, a lot of these NBA teams really do focus on defending Steph Curry, and it does seem that watching footage of him training, especially as of lately, it does seem that he's trying to add new things to his game in order to even make him more versatile out there on the floor. So I do believe when it comes to Steph and what he's able to bring, he's going to bring a whole new offensive game that we may never have seen before. Yes, he's a great 3-point shooter, and I think he will continue to improve at his 3-point shooting, but I think we may see a lot more of inside presence felt from Steph Curry, especially on the offensive side of things. His defensive ability has definitely improved, and I think he is only getting better and as time goes on. I do believe that when it comes to what he is capable of doing for this next season, we could see him getting ranked as one of the best players next season and win that MVP trophy, no doubt about it. We can definitely see that from his numbers, he has not slowed down any bit, and I think he will continue to rise and continue to get better as he continues to gain more and more knowledge and also has a great team behind him. The second is that Chris Paul is going to bring a new flavor to this Warriors team. Now, this may sound like a surprise, but a lot of people do believe that Chris Paul is actually making the Golden State Warriors worse, and a lot of NBA fans around the globe do think that. However, I believe the absolute opposite. I think Chris Paul is going to bring a whole new genre of offense to this Golden State Warriors team, and I think it is going to be very difficult for teams to stop him, and it's something that a lot of people don't know about. If we actually look at Chris Paul, especially last season, he was averaging 13.9 points, 4.3 rebounds, and also 8.9 assists, while also shooting 37% from the 3. Now, Chris Paul wasn't really considered a 3-point shooter, but lately, and especially with the Phoenix Suns, he has become a fantastic knockdown shooter. And I think this is going to really pay dividends to this Warriors team. When it comes to him, whether he's coming off the bench or whether he's going to be starting, it doesn't really matter. What I do believe in is that Chris Paul is definitely going to be a huge facet, especially for the second unit. We do expect him to play a lot with that second unit, and Draymond Green also said in a recent podcast with Paul George that Chris Paul is going to have Jonathan Kuminga become a star. We've seen Chris Paul be able to take some average players and make them look like the best players we have ever seen. We've seen this with the Los Angeles Clippers, where Blake Griffin and also DeAndre Jordan had some of their best seasons when Chris Paul was their point guard, and after he left, they weren't the same. We've also seen this with DeAndre Ayton, and now we could see the same probably with Jonathan Kuminga or even other bigs such as Draymond Green or Kavon Looney. But I do believe Chris Paul will play a huge facet for that second unit, and I think he is really going to have them shine and become the players and untap that potential that is definitely needed. Jonathan Kuminga is still a young player, and I do believe he just needs to have that right guidance, and Chris Paul can definitely provide that. CP3 is going to bring a whole new type of offense, and a lot of NBA teams are not ready for what is about to come. The third is Kavon Looney is going to have himself a monster season. Now, as you all know, Kavon Looney is probably the most underrated player in this Golden State Warriors team, and I think he doesn't get enough credit for what he does for this Warriors franchise. When it comes to Kavon Looney last season, he averaged 7 points, 9.6 8.3 rebounds and 2.5 assists, while also shooting 63% from the field. Yes, guys, you heard that right, 63%. He is a very efficient player, and I think when it comes to Kavon Looney, what we are going to see from him is really to provide those intangible things that make him such a great player and help this team win. There's a reason why he's a 3-time NBA champion, and I think Kavon Looney is going to surprise a lot of us next season, especially with players like Chris Paul coming into this team. Kavon Looney isn't too much of a scorer, but I think he will have a monster rebounding and also defensive season, and we could see him up for Defensive Player of the Year if he gets the same amount of minutes as he did last year, and I do believe Kavon Looney has only gotten better. We don't really know much about Looney when it comes to what he's been doing in the offseason. However, I do believe Looney has been a great player and has been progressing his career ever since his first season. He's only 27 years old, and he is coming into those peak years of 28 to around 32, 6'9", 222 pounds, and now with other additions added such as CP3 and also Dario Saric, I think it is going to open up Kavon Looney to a lot more scoring opportunities, but also give him a much bigger role for this team. Not only is he just going to be the starting center, but he has a lot of guidance to do for these younger guys and also help, players like Dario Saric and Chris Paul get up to speed. Looney is a great shot blocker, even though he only averaged 0.6 blocks, but I do believe what he's able to do when it comes to contesting shots, really controlling the paint and not having any of these guards come in and hit easy layups, really does help this team out a lot, and I do believe that it is going to be another underrated season for Kavon Looney, but definitely watch out for him because he is going to be a massive X factor, especially when it comes playoffs and also championship time. The fourth is that Draymond Green is going to have himself a great scoring year. Now, I think this may be a surprise to a lot of people, but Draymond Green isn't too much of a scorer, but he is going to have a double-digit point season, I reckon, next season. If we look at Draymond Green's stats last season, he actually averaged 8.5 points, also had 7.2 rebounds and 6.8 assists. So he did a fantastic job with an effective field goal percentage of 57% and shot 30% from the three as well. Now, I watched a recent podcast of Paul George and also Draymond Green, and Draymond Green actually said in the most recent interview that he is looking for next season to really bump up his offensive numbers. So we could see Draymond Green going back to averaging a lot more points and especially being a much bigger threat, especially on offense. During his peak years of 2015 all the way to around 2018, which is considered the Warriors era, the highest he was averaging was 15 points that season and also dished out 7.4 assists and 9.5 rebounds. So guys, this is completely surprising because a lot of people don't realize how much of a scorer Draymond used to be, but averaging 15 points is definitely a big feat. And I do believe when it comes to this next season, we could see Draymond Green taking a much bigger role on offense. And he even said in that interview, and if you haven't given that a watch, definitely go do so with Paul George, but he also said that with the Warriors team, they can't always rely on Steph Curry every single time because it is hard for him to score when he's getting doubled, triple teamed every single time. So Draymond Green has taken upon himself to be able to start scoring more, shooting more three-pointers, and I think it is going to be a great season for him. To even put it into bigger perspective, in that season where he averaged 15 points, he was also shooting 39% from the three. So guys, he was a fantastic three-point shooter, do not get me wrong, and I do believe we will see that Draymond Green back next season, especially if they want to win another NBA championship. The fifth is Jonathan Kuminga may have himself a breakout season. Now, as you all know, Jonathan Kuminga is on the trading block, and I did watch a recent interview of Jonathan Kuminga where he actually said this season is going to be his make or break season. I think he does know that he is on the trading block, of course, but I do believe Jonathan Kuminga does not want to leave this team, and he's going to try everything in his willpower to do so. In order for that to happen, he's going to have to play his best season yet, and he's going to be able to have to provide for this team as soon as possible when the season starts. Now, Kuminga is still a very young player. He's 20 years old, 6'8", 210 pounds, and I do not see a big problem with him being able not to really provide so much already because he is still a very young player. However, Warriors want to win a championship now, and with Steph Curry still playing at his peak and also the others around him, now is the perfect time for Warriors to make some moves in order for them to be a championship contending team. So I think Kuminga knows that pressure that has on him, and he's going to have an all-out great season. So like I talked about earlier on in this video, We talked about how Chris Paul is going to probably help Jonathan Kuminga and his guidance and probably open him up to be an absolute star. And this was the words that Draymond Green said, and I do completely agree with that. Kuminga is already such an athletic freak. He's literally Andrew Wiggins 2.0. He has a great jump shot on him as well, and I think he will be able to do a lot of great things, especially under the guidance of Chris Paul. When it comes to Kuminga, he's averaging 9.9 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 1.9 assists last season, and he had effective field goal percentage of 57%, while also a 3-point percentage of 37% as well. So guys, I'm telling you right now, those numbers are pretty much identical to Andrew Wiggins in relation to the amount of minutes that they get. Wiggins, great athletic player, and also has that 3-ball, and so is Jonathan Kuminga. And that's why I think he is going to be a huge asset for this team, especially for that second unit. If Kuminga is able to start to have that mature type of basketball and also have the high IQ basketball, we could actually see Kuminga be such a great player and a great six man at that.